Hello, everybody, and welcome to. This is going to be the last Sharpest College Football podcast of the year. It is part 3 of our bowl previews here. This is going to cover all the bowls, including the. I'm not sure if we're going to do the championship game or not, but we'll see. I am joined, as always, by my co-host BuckMetrics. How are you doing tonight? We're recording this between Christmas and New Year's, that kind of dead zone. How are you doing?
Yeah, Dead Zone was a good characterization of my Christmas, I'll put it that way. I'm vertical today, so I'm better. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you were sick there for a couple days.
Yeah.
You're feeling better now. And of course, we're joined for all the bowl previews by Isaiah. How are you liking the bowl so far?
Boy, there have been some wonderful games so far for me to just throw at the people who say these games don't matter.
Even just today, Virginia Tech versus Tulane was hilarious.
I was having so much. I'm glad I didn't have much work to do today because I wouldn't have got anything done laughing at that game.
Yeah, that was a pretty great game. So many fumbles and in a monsoon and stuff. And already we're recording this during the Duke's Mayo Bowl, and that seems to be off to a pretty good start there too. So yeah, all right. Moving on. We are moving on to the games starting on. Which day is it?
I don't know. I don't have a date yet. Can I just get everybody familiar with the format just to caught up? Mm-hmm. The first pod, we chopped this into 3 pods. The first one, I made my own lines for those bowls, and Robert and Isaiah picked at minus 110 against those. The last episode, Robert did the same for his. Isaiah's going to set his lines today. This is where we stand today. And I only bring this up because I have a commanding lead, and if I was behind, I would have just skipped over this. So this is through last night. I think this morning I actually picked up another plus 110. At Isaiah's expense, and Robert just took the 10-point vig. Still plenty of games left. Let's do this. Let's make the playoff games double, since there's fewer bowls, too. Count for twice as much. Okay.
I think Isaiah also might offer it, because he does have less bowls to cap. I think he's going to give us a couple of totals, too.
There's one in particular.
Isn't that generous of him? Okay.
Throw a total out.
Having said that, I better open up my grid here, and just because I'm actually the gatekeeper here. Okay. Having said that, a lot of football yet to be played. I think we're starting on. I think this is New Year's Eve. Does that sound right?
No, this is Saturday.
Nope,
New Year's
this is this Saturday. Yep.
Saturday's the 30th. Okay.
30th.
Boy, things get weird when the first is on a Monday.
It always does.
All right, Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. I did these graphics when I was still recovering. If there's mistakes, I apologize. Interesting matchup here. Penn State giving 4 to Ole Miss. I'd forgotten how awesome Penn State's defense was. If I'm looking at the graphics here, I really think this matchup of the quite handsome apex of Jackson Dart going against the quite handsome defensive rating of Penn State, who is without their quite handsome defensive coordinator, although typically that doesn't show until the next year. Penn State hired Tom Allen. Am I correct in that?
Yep.
Okay. Clearly he's available now too, although I don't think he'll bring him in at the moment. I've got this an 8-point game. Robert also has this an 8-point game. We're on different sides of the total. The market is 4. Isaiah, what do you make in this line?
Yes, the cool thing about this game is that now we're getting into the games where there's a decent amount of players who aren't opting out. Because I was looking at the opt-out list for this, and it looks like just about everybody seems to be playing for Ole Miss. Like the guys in the portal haven't really played since early in the season. The big opt-out for this one is on the Penn State side. Chop Robinson, I know he's pretty good at defensive end for the Nittany Lions. They're out. And like you said, I'm not really convinced that Manny Diaz not calling this game. This is still really good defense. And if for some reason Tom Allen is on the sideline for this game, I don't think he's going to make a lot of changes.
Nah.
The quarterback against the good defense matchup, it's going to be really – this is strength on strength here. And so I do lean towards Penn State because I just think that defense is strong enough to where – I think your biggest concern in backing Penn State on this game is Drew Aller. But I think Drew Aller has seen a lot better defenses than he's going to see against Ole Miss. So I'm going to put this game. I'm going to bump this up to. I'm going to bump this up to Penn State minus 6.5.
Wow. I tell you what, Robert, I want no part of choosing that one first, so I'm going to toss that one to you, buddy.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna lay with Penn State there. I'm just more I'm thinking about this feels like a game where Penn State needs to say we are a good team. We deserve to be like among basically people consider them as okay. They lost to Michigan and Ohio State. That's what they're supposed to do. But they're still an elite team outside of having to play those two teams every year. They kind of need to justify it. Ole Miss lost to, I believe it was Georgia and not LSU. They lost to Georgia and what, Bama, I think? Yes. Yeah, so in many ways, these are like the mirror image of each other. I just think Penn State's, I think the SEC is a weaker conference this year. Big Ten's better, therefore I'll take the Big Ten team here.
You made a really good line there, pal. Man, I really don't. You said, I think you're absolutely correct when you said the first concern for anybody back in Penn State is Drew Aller. I think that's also concern number 2 and 3. Did Penn State ditch their offensive coordinator again already? I think.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
But I can't remember if they did that before the end of the season or not. It might have been a game or two before the season.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But yes, and that they have offensive coordinators. They did hire a guy from Kansas, but he is not going to be active for this.
Yeah, boy, you made a really good line here. If it was 7, I'd take Ole Miss. I'm thinking the other side of that too. You make a really good point about Aller's faced much tougher defenses than this. I think sneakily Ole Miss has faced much better quarterbacks than Aller too. They faced Daniels, and not a role I'd ever thought I'd been taking, but the criminally underrated Jalen Milroe. I'm gonna go with Ole Miss, I think, although I'm not really happy about it. You split us, and I'm not happy about taking either side here. Good job on that.
I think both of these teams, actually, you can look at this game, not quite as much for Ole Miss, because Ole Miss did get the nice win over LSU, although at home, but what's Penn State's second best, or what's Penn State's best win? Is it Iowa, or is it West Virginia?
Or both Maryland. Maryland was good at some point. But Maryland has a functional offense, which Iowa does not. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. There's a lot of kind of gaps in the resumes that are going to be filled with this one.
I think I will say, if I were fans of either one of these teams, I would take a loss in this game a lot better if I were Ole Miss than I would if I were Penn State. Because if my best win is Iowa or November Maryland, I'm probably not feeling right.
Yeah, fair. I forgot that was November Maryland. The Transperfect, I have no idea what that company is. Music City Bowl. I just want to say, hey, thanks, Talia, for just waiting weeks and weeks after the lineups have been announced to say you're opting out. I got this, just to be fair. I took Maryland getting 2.5, and I thought I was stealing. And I better have been stealing, since now that number's up to 7 with him opting out. The backup, I think he's taken like 40 snaps all year, so nothing to discern there. Although he still could be better than Noah Kim. Robbie Ashford off to his 3rd school now. Congratulations to him. Didn't work out playing for Mario or Hugh Freeze, so who knows? I don't know, maybe he can land at Miami. Aren't they looking for a quarterback? He said sarcastically. That would be great. Auburn just never figured it out offensively. You can see there with that horrible offensive rating. Kind of the inverse of the USC defense for some kind of perspective on just how bad that offense is. Maryland's defense is good. Now we have to take that offensive rating with a huge grain of salt, because this is going to be the new guy's first start. So that shrinks the power rating too. I have no idea how good this backup is. No idea at all. I definitely don't want to bet this. Neither of my projections nor the LeanTossup projection has mystery backup X, whose name I can't remember. Markets at 7. If you want to stray from that, Isaiah, good luck.
Yeah,
let me know what you think.
So, in full disclosure, I actually put a little money on the plus 7, and that was purely a play. If I'm being honest, that was a purely fade Peyton Thorne play. There is no other reason for me to do that. If you're looking at the opt-out and the transfer list, Maryland's offense is losing a lot in this game. They're starting tight end Corey Dykes. He's really good. He's not playing. Obviously, Telly is not playing. One of their running backs, they've got two really good running backs. One of them's not playing. I think it's the second one. I want to say Littleton's the second of the two. Yeah, but if Auburn's quarterback situation wasn't so dire, I wouldn't have touched this game either, and I didn't put a ton on it. I am going to, man. Am I allowed to stick with the line here and make
Of course, yeah, it's your number.
I'm just gonna put the hook on it, and I'm gonna make it 7.5.
Okay.
Because I truthfully could see Maryland keeping this close because I think I think they get a little bit of hate on the defense when it's not as bad as people want it to think it is. But man, also as a Purdue fan, as people can tell by the shirt, I don't have good experiences with Auburn in the Music City Bowl. So.
Okay, fair.
I'll go first here. I'm taking the points. Give me Maryland plus 7.5. I know it sounds crazy, but the fact is that this is pretty ugly. But at the same time, again, so the thing is, my model is imperfect in games like this. I can't really just throw that guy into his 40 snaps because he's either going to be like, because of the way the model works, he's either going to be like the best quarterback ever or literally the worst quarterback ever. So, and again, it's garbage time, so it's really hard to say whether or not he was good or bad, right? So, but the thing is, he's coming in, I don't know, it's not great, but Auburn is pretty bad. Notably, they lost badly to New Mexico State. Not just they lost to New Mexico State, they lost pretty badly to New Mexico State. Yeah, give me the 7.5. Auburn is bad. I'm actually surprised they made a bowl somehow. Yeah, I'll take the 7.5.
I want to take Maryland. The thing that really gives me pause, I actually think that Loxley is every bit as good a coach, maybe even. I think he's might be every bit as good a coach as Freeze, and his program is more fully formed, if you will. I think Freeze will have Auburn in a better place. I think it's going to take some time because Brian Harsin took a blowtorch to the place and really pissed off a lot of people. The thing that really concerns me is maybe I'm just misremembering things in my old age, but it seemed to me like Taulia took a long time to develop. Now, maybe part of that is because he was facing Big Ten defenses, and this Auburn defense is a little more obliging. But he had a name. He followed Loxley from Alabama to Maryland. It's not like he came out of the gates. Caleb Williams did at USC. It took you follow the conference closer than I do, Isaiah. Did it take most of that first year for him?
The biggest thing about him was you could tell right away that he had something. He wasn't just coasting on the name, but his biggest thing was the turnovers. His first, he would throw like the most incredible touchdown you have ever seen, and then he would throw the dumbest interception you've ever seen. So even into last year, he had that issue where he's still turning the ball. I think for me, this was the first season where I think he clamped down on it, and he still had some pretty bad turnovers, but it was a lot less of where I think like last year, they lost the Purdue game because of his turnovers. They lost specifically games because of his turnovers. I don't really feel like they did a lot of that this year.
Okay. I'm going to take Maryland and the 7.5 as well. It's just hard to back that Auburn team. They did play Alabama close, but I think that's more a function of just that rivalry and dumb things happen in weird spots in that rivalry. And just to repeat myself, as old people do, I think that just the Maryland program's in a better spot at this point. Having said that, we move along to the Capital One Orange Bowl.
It's the controversy bowl.
Yes. I don't know. I've got 17.5 because when I took a snapshot of the line, it might be even higher now.
It's 19.5 now.
There you go. Okay. And this was just last night that I did this.
This opened at 14.5.
Yeah.
They cannot get anybody to bet Florida State.
I know. 20 seconds, not to make this a political show, but when people complain about what they need to do to fix things like this, I don't know if people realize the only way to fix this is collective bargaining. So be careful what you wish for, because if it seems like the people who are saying we need to fix this, I'm not sure if that's exactly what they want to do, because that's the only way you're going to fix having these opt-outs. Having said that, yeah, What can you say? One team has most of their team, although Brock Bowers is not showing up, and Ladd McConkey is iffy. And Florida State, we'll see how hard they're hitting the intramural beat by the time that they put a team on the field, because they just aren't bringing anybody. Just the ratings don't even matter for Florida State here. Carson Beck's apex, awesome. He did look a little shaky against Alabama at times. He had nice overall numbers, but a couple of big plays. And other than that, he looked a lot confused. Now, I don't see that being the case here, obviously, with Florida State. Shame what happened to Florida State, and that a shake out of the shame is what we're looking at here. I don't think that these projections for BuckMetrics or LeanTossup really mean much. I don't know, Isaiah. Good luck setting a light on this one. I'm glad that this one's yours, not mine.
Yes. The first thing is I'm still holding out some kind of it's obviously not going to happen. I'm still holding out some hilarious hope that ESPN comes out of the tunnel, Georgia comes out, there's fireworks and everything, and then they go, and Florida State, and there's nobody there, and they've ditched, and there's no game.
Not even the intramural guys? No?
No. They find out that they've just gone back to Tallahassee. But the thing about this game is everyone, obviously the story is going to be the controversy on Florida State. And the way I look at Florida State is they are a team that deserved to be in the playoffs because they were 13-0 and a Power 5 conference champion. But if I look at these two teams, one of these teams is a playoff team and the other one is not, right? And that is the reason why nobody can – they can't get anybody to bet Florida State. And then you add in the fact that basically everybody for Florida State is not playing in this game, and I can't blame them. I wouldn't put my career on the line for this after I was snubbed the way they were snubbed. I'm going to. The market says that you have to give a boatload to get anybody on Florida State, and this feels like a name your score game kind of thing for Georgia. So I'm going to set it at Georgia minus. I'm going to go minus 22 and a half.
22 and a half. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Can that entice you to take the corpse of Florida State?
You want to go first, Robert?
Yeah, I'm taking Florida State.
Wow.
I know it's crazy, but here's the thing, though. Both of these teams have reasons to not play this game. But at the same time, I feel like Florida State has more reasons to play the game than Georgia does.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing is, okay, yes, they're down, obviously, Jordan Travis, and they're down Tate Rodemaker, who was, like, iffy against Florida. And they have their backup, who basically was, I think, functionally his first game there against Louisville. So he'll be a little bit better. And now, to be fair, though, this projection actually includes that guy in there, by the way. So my projection had, because he was the one who threw the most passes in the last game, so therefore that's him there. So
Yep.
that's a little interesting there, the fact that I still only have that as 7. Now that's Carson, so that's the same quarterbacks as they would have been. Okay, yeah, Florida State's going to be down a ton of offensive starters, but Florida State's probably pretty deep. Okay, yeah, Keon Coleman's not playing in this game. Who's there? They have a good D lineman, I think?
Jared Verse. You're right.
Yeah, Jared Verse, yeah. He's not playing in this game either, probably. I'm assuming he's opting out. So, okay, they're down some of their starters, but they've got some good backups. Georgia is down some of their wide receiving weapons. That's a little concerning considering the offensive performance we saw them put up against Georgia Tech before they lost to Bama. This is going to be offense versus defense in a low-scoring game. You're giving me 22.5. I'll take 22.5. And to be fair, I actually, this game is still a couple days away. I would not be surprised if I wake up on the 30th and see 21 and 21.5. That's where this game's heading.
I'm certainly not playing this game for whatever reason, unless maybe if I wake up and I see it a 21.5. But this game sucks so bad.
This is another 1-800-GAMBLER game, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is just speculation where I stare at the ceiling and say, what kind of number would if I average what I would take both sides on, I was coming closer to 24.5. I'll take Georgia, but that's staring at the ceiling without a lot to back it up, besides my brain, whatever that's worth.
I just think there's too many ifs on this game, because it's like
totally.
Because is Florida going to come out and try? Is Florida State going to come out and try to prove a point? Can they even do that with who they have? Or is Georgia not going to try because they did? I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. This reminds me, I read a book by Chris Andrews, who runs the South Point sports book in Las Vegas, and he told a story about he was working on Christmas Day one time long ago, and the only game back then they had was the blue-gray game, and I don't think they even played that anymore. They didn't have that. They were just replaying some game before that had been broadcast days before. Some guy comes up and says, "Who's playing?" And he said, "Oh, this is a replay of the game 2 days ago." And the guy's watching for 30 seconds. He says, well, "Can I bet on it?" And I thought of that when we bring up this game, because it's like, yeah, you're almost betting on, not on a replay, but you're just looking for action. If you're playing, just guess what's going to happen here. Having said that, we move on to, I don't know, maybe since you're the youngest of the group here, Isaiah. Apparently this is streaming. Is this? But is this? Do I have to go to? And I don't want to do that many promos here. Do I go to barstool.com and it's just streaming on that? Or?
You can watch it on Barstool, or I am seeing that it is also being presented on the CW.
Wow, stepping in ACC territory.
Yeah.
Interesting. The CW stepping up. Okay, here we go. By the way, hey, in the new year, save money on McAfee. Jesus.
You will also be treated to the services of the legend of Big Ten Twitter, one Barstool Big Cat, on the call.
Oh, no. Are you okay? So it's going to be like all the fat guys in one room, except it's just with the microphone real time?
In the press box, basically.
Boy, that sounds like a must miss.
The only thing I need for this game, whenever something dumb happens, is my screenshot that Big Cat tweeted once, and it was just a single tweet that says, "I'm so bad at gambling."
Is this the one in Tucson?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So DeQuan Finn, quarterback of MAC runner-up Toledo, has opted out. I don't know if he's landed anywhere yet. This will be interesting to see if people have the skepticism about him that I have had against, I believe his first name, is it Andrew Paisley or Josh Paisley, the Wyoming quarterback, whose apex actually improved during the year to a 95. He was brutal earlier in the year. I'm surprised that Wyoming's defense is not that much better than Toledo's, considering that's been their strength, and they were pretty decent for a while. Overall power ratings have this as a mismatch. Now the problem is, what do we do when we have a quarterback that was okay, I think a little overrated, and took a long time to get to the overrated part? I'm a little concerned about how good his backup is and what he's going to do in game one against what I think is a pretty decent defense. I think that's why I'm showing, mine are indifferent to the quarterback numbers. If anything, my numbers are probably a little kind to Toledo. Market has Wyoming by 4. LeanTossup has actually Toledo by 4.
But that's
you probably still have with DeQuan Finn. Yeah, that's with a grain of salt. I don't know. I'm probably glad that it's on CW. I might actually stumble across this at some point. But this is an interesting one. A lot of data points all over the self. What are you going to make this one, Isaiah?
Yeah, the other thing is one of Toledo's best defenders is also going to be out cornerback. So I actually like Wyoming quite a bit. I would say the Mountain West is a better conference than the MAC. The MAC it feels like the MAC are the team, like 3 teams from Ohio and then the rest of the MAC. So I throw in the backup quarterback situation for Toledo, throw in the fact that their defense is losing somebody, and I think that for the most part, Wyoming is pretty set. Also, this is a retirement party.
Oh, that's right. For Craig Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm going to put this at Wyoming minus 6.5.
I will happily take Wyoming there. As retirement for a beloved head coach.
Yeah.
Wyoming.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. It's hard to imagine the MAC coming up with too many bowl wins here. It just isn't really in their conference profile.
Fell apart against the 5-7 Gophers. I lost some faith.
That was really impressive. Yeah, that quarterback from Minnesota had an absolute Grayson James kind of game. That was just horrible. 2 touchdown passes, though, somehow. I'm not sure how that can happen.
Because P.J. Fleck was allergic to just giving the ball to his star running back.
Okay. In his hometown? That's nice of him. All right. This will be, I don't know. This will be another, although it's another guessing game here. A little less. The ReliaQuest. Did this used to be the...
This used to be
the Outback?
This used to be the Outback Bowl.
Okay. Tampa with a little bit of a Miami flavor logo there. Not sure that's really a Tampa thing. I don't know. Wisconsin versus LSU. LSU giving 10. Garrett Nussmeier didn't take enough snaps to get an Apex rating this season, although I think he's typically shown himself to be pretty solid, but clearly not in the class of Jaden Daniels. Tanner Mordecai to Wisconsin just didn't work out this year for whatever reason. You look at their offensive rating of barely an average BS offense at all in Wisconsin. Don't know if that's a year one thing or if it's an existential thing about Phil Longo and how he fits in the Luke Fickell scheme. On the other hand, you've got Nussmeier, a proven quarterback who's nowhere near a Jaden Daniels type, so who knows. This offensive rating is actually above what I had the 2019 LSU offense. Now, this has got a lot of let's just get something out of this season and get our guy a Heisman Trophy in that number. And also, let's just let the other team score within 5 plays in the defensive number 2 so we can get the ball back. This power rating has quite a big grain of salt to go with it. I got this backwards. I'm sorry. This should be LSU 47-29. But again,
I was trying to figure out how you got that number there.
Yeah, I reversed it. Like I said, I was sick when I put this together. I've got LSU by 18, but that's without any kind of quarterback adjustment. I don't know, Robert, if you have Nussmeier in here or this is with Jaden Daniels.
That would be Daniels, yeah.
Okay. LSU by 10, I don't know. Basically, your starting point is how much are you going to assign to Jaden Daniels, then work from there, Isaiah.
Yeah, obviously that's a big hit. And the thing on Mordecai, I feel like we talked about this in the Big Ten preview, was that you had a lot of things coming in, right? You had Mordecai coming into a program that just doesn't really do passing offense and being asked to be a passer, even with a new coach, first-year system. I wasn't surprised and then he got hurt for part of the season too. I wasn't totally surprised that it went down like that. I want to check the opt-outs real quick on Wisconsin's side. I don't think there are any. Are there? Oh, yeah, no, there are. Braylon Allen's not playing. He's been banged up, but that's a big loss because, oh boy, I was way off. Kamir Dyke's not playing. Skylar Bell's not playing. So you've got basically what offense they have is not playing. The other thing, if you are an Indiana person like me, that you know about this game is that LSU is coached by Brian Kelly, and if Brian Kelly has a chance to be a jerk, Brian Kelly will take that chance. Last year when he was playing the ghost of my program, and he just kept running up. There was no reason for LSU to need to put up 70 points on all our backups, but he just kept – the starters were in the entire game pretty much. I would expect he does the same if given the chance here. I am actually going to bump LSU up just a hair. I'm going to make it 12.5.
Now wait, did they play Purdue?
Who?
Yeah, LSU played Purdue in the Bowl game last year, right?
Last year, yeah. After Braum was gone, our quarterback didn't play. None of our wide receivers, basically nobody played. O'Connell didn't play. Yeah, it was all backups, and it was all backup. And it was even weirder because Braum's son stayed to coach as the interim, which I thought was an awful idea.
Yeah, that is
but
weird.
Yeah, I honestly thought that LSU would put up like 40 points in the first half and then call it a day. But no, Brian Kelly trotted the starters right back out there.
I don't know. Part of me wants to take Wisconsin because you still have the coach and you still have some pieces. Because the big thing is last year, one of the reasons why LSU crushed them was because of Jaden Daniels. He's not there anymore. Now, Nussberger was actually came in he was last year's SEC championship game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he was. Yep.
And he wasn't bad against the actual winner. He came close, and I think he got injured too, and then he had to get. So I don't remember exactly. He did something. He wasn't horrible in that game. So I don't know. Could this just be we run up the score against a Wisconsin team? There's just a lot of pieces missing. I don't like it, but I'll take LSU.
Yeah, let me see here. LSU. So I'm guessing throughout the season we had Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors is on the top 10 of list of receivers. Seems they're both slated to play. Yeah, we looked around this, I think just a bigger picture. I don't know if it's how much of it is just plugging in Phil Longo into the Luke Fickell universe, but also even if that's a great fit, it's a huge transition of personnel to go to that wide open offense from ground and pound and like your 1970s Steelers offense that they had at Wisconsin before. I don't know if it flips in time for a bowl game. Like Robert, I'm going to go with LSU and eat the 2 points that you shoved down our throats there. All right, the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, Liberty versus Oregon. Is this? I think the 17.5 is current, right? I know this has moved a little bit from open,
I'm seeing it's been moving around. I'll have to check what it's at now. I think that's pretty close to what it's at right now.
Both quarterbacks, interestingly, staying in this one.
It's down to 16.5.
Oh, okay. Excuse me.
If you have interest.
My interest has been expressed, I'll say that already. Both quarterbacks staying in, both with having really good seasons. I think Caden Salter was the highest rated G5 quarterback by my metrics. Bo Nix, I think, finished like 4th or so in Apex, and actually, I guess if we look at the last month of the season, he was probably number 2 behind Jaden Daniels because he was not outside the top 10 going in November. I think the big difference here should be the defense. Liberty with a lesser rating against the beloved CUSA. Oregon against a very good offensive conference in the Pac-12 with a better rating, although, as we pointed out, they went from number 7 in about early October down to barely about the top 20 by season's end. Overall, Oregon I've got by 5 points better. That's what I'm showing as the final margin. Interesting, too, that Bucky Irving is playing in this game. Bo Nix and Bucky Irving is pretty big. There's 2 guys that really scare me as opponent on that team. It's Franklin and Irving. A big win there by Lanning, just getting those guys to show up. I've got this Oregon by 5. Robert's got it by 12. The market is higher on Oregon than either of us, which is interesting. But Isaiah gets to sort that out.
I wonder if the market, because how many times have we talked about Liberty and the strength of schedule?
Yeah.
This year? So I honestly wonder if the market is trying to price in the old ain't played nobody. Except for they did beat New Mexico State. I'll give them.
They did.
I will give them credit on that one.
Pretty handily too. At New Mexico State, I think.
Nope, it was in Virginia.
Oh, was it at Lynchburg? Okay.
Yeah. But I think there's got to be. I think that's got to be factored into it too. This is a big enough game to where I don't have to worry about Oregon not trying. Like, it's still the Fiesta Bowl. This isn't a game I don't think they're going to. And after you lost to Washington, it was pretty clear you weren't going to make the playoffs. So I don't think there's no snub or anything like that. But looking at the line movement too, it's going down. I just think 17.5 is too much, and that's not a slight to Oregon. You can say what you want about the strength of schedule of Liberty, but I still think that's a good team, and you've got basically 2 teams where a lot of guys are playing. And Liberty is going to be motivated in this one, just like Tulane was last year, to show you, hey, this is a game where we belong here. And this is basically their first chance to do that. I'm going to move this down. I'm going to move it down to Oregon minus 14.5.
This is the thing. I was at when this game was announced, and who was playing in this game. One of the things that surprised me the most was that all the Oregon players said, "Yeah, we're playing in this game," and especially Bo Nix, Bucky Irving, and the wide receiver Trent Irving, I think, or no, I can't remember. It's Troy Franklin.
Franklin is out.
Franklin has been out though.
Oh wait, yeah, he is out. Yep.
Yeah.
But even then, you still got 2 out of the 3, and that was shocking to me. And even then, again, you've probably got a lot of seniors there and stuff. I just, looking at this, I cannot imagine that this Oregon team is jazzed to play in this game. They've got to be like, okay, we had 2 chances to beat Washington. We got a rematch in the Pac-12 championship game. We lost there too. Okay, yeah, we're going to play again for coach or something. I don't know. But at the same time, Liberty is excited to play in this game, right? This is a team that went undefeated, won their conference, has been snubbed by everybody all season, basically, completely ignored them. They have played some incredible games. They keep getting the disrespect here. If there was a team that you could catch sleeping, that's, yeah, I guess we'll play in this game. Liberty is okay, yes, they've got a pretty good passing attack, but they've also got a pretty strong rushing attack. You catch some of those linebackers sleeping, you can blow off some massive plays in this game. Oregon's defense is good, but not perfect. I think Liberty's got a non-zero chance of winning this game. Honestly, I'll take the points. I'm definitely taking the points, and I'm probably also gonna be taking a little bit of Liberty money line here. I just think the odds are that okay, Bo Nix might show up, but I honestly just think that there's something where not everybody in this game is playing 100% for Oregon. I think there's people who are like, yeah, whatever, we're playing in this game because coach or something. I would not be surprised if we don't get 100% effort here by Oregon, and that's a recipe for just, yeah, this goes badly. And how many times have we seen that, right? When you get the G5 team in the New Year's Bowl, they play a team that's not enthusiastic about being there. How many times have we seen crazy upsets, right? Yeah, give me Liberty here.
This is going to sound comedic, but this is serious, and I say this as somebody who has extremely fond memories of Scottsdale and the Deer Valley area of Phoenix. Honest to God, I would watch the Instagram live stream profiles of the Oregon players to see what they're doing the night before this game. And I'm not joking either, because that is a place where you can have a lot of fun, especially if you're a good-looking athlete. And that is a team full of good-looking athletes that are probably going to want to have some fun. Because I don't know, I've been in both places, and I can vouch that Scottsdale and North Phoenix is a lot more fun than Eugene, Oregon. No disrespect to the good people of Eugene, Oregon. Keep an eye on that. What's interesting is I think Isaiah's line or the market line, I don't think that this number is going to come close to the total. I think Robert's onto something when you say take a little bit on Liberty money line, because I think if real Oregon shows up, they're probably going to win by closer to 30. And if it's indifferent Oregon, it's going to be a ball game, and I don't think it's going to be a 2+ score game. I think it's more like a 1+ score game. So having said that, I'm going with Liberty. The other thing too is when Robert was describing his rationale for his choice, the parallels to USC's season last year are just amazing. All right, you lost one game to a team that's given you troubles before in the regular season on the last play of the game, and then you meet them again with a chance to completely redeem yourself, go into the playoff with your Heisman hopeful quarterback, and it's not as close as the regular season. Now, Oregon doesn't have a huge gaping hole on one side of the ball that USC did with the defense, but I think this Liberty team is better than Tulane last season by a good margin. This power rating is much, much superior to what Tulane was last season by, I want to say, 5 or 6 points. Those are the reasons I'm going with Liberty too. My shop doesn't post money lines on games with margins this big, but very good idea on your end, Robert. Just a little bit will get you a long way on that bet.
Plus 550 in my book here.
Yeah, that's quite attractive. Okay. The Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, I guess Cheez-It took their name off what's now the Pop-Tart Bowl, is that correct? To get their name on this?
Yeah, it used to be one of those Arizona bowls.
Okay. All right, we've got, and this, again, geez, Joe Milton just announced that he's opting out of this one. And
You can't blame the young man for wanting to protect his 7th-round draft stock.
I'm not, it's just, if there was a little bit of a protocol here, it would be nice, but can't have protocols without changing the whole thing, which, I don't know, we're not ready for as a society. Unfortunate, because we would have had just an amazing divergence in quarterback apex here of 119 versus 24 for, is it Deacon Hilton? Is that his name?
Deacon Hill.
Yeah, Deacon Hill.
How did they find a way to get an apex lower than Spencer Petras?
It ain't easy, and it's. I think they tried hard to do it. We've seen the grotesqueness of the Iowa power ratings all season. This can't surprise anybody.
We talked about the Wyoming coach swan song. This is our Brian Ferenc swan song. This is the last game of the big beautiful Brian Ferenc. I can't all. Do you know how many memes I'm gonna have to delete from my phone because they're no longer applicable?
Ah,
anymore?
you're starting over. Just delete the whole folder. Yeah. Again.
Oh, Chris is coming though, so.
Now, to be fair, though, they have not actually they haven't announced a new.
No, he's a finalist.
No, but they haven't announced a new. Yeah, they haven't announced a new offensive coordinator yet, and we have no idea how they'll perform. So, to be honest, nothing could change. Maybe it's not as bad as before, but it could still be pretty bad.
I have thoughts on Paul Christ, but
I think you've got something that's not repeatable here. I again, because I was getting over being sick, as I mentioned, my projection is backwards here. I've got this 22-10 in favor of Tennessee. Although this is with Joe Milton. Would Nico Iamaleava, they wouldn't play him in this. They would still be able to keep his redshirt season intact. Why not? It's a bowl game. You don't want to put him against the Iowa defense.
He's
playing. The $6 million man gets to start against the Iowa defense. Well, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Apologies, you can hear the dog snoring in the background, possibly. I've got this Tennessee by 12, but that's with Joe Milton baked in. Robert's got this 25, probably Joe Milton baked in. I'm almost certain of that. Market has it Tennessee -8. I think that reflects the Joe Milton opt out because I think it was higher before. Again, good luck sorting this out.
Let's see what I got this at. I got this at. Oh, I got it at 7.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't care how much money you're paying. I don't care how many 50 billion stars your recruit is. You don't want to make your first start against the Phil Parker defense.
Yeah,
that's not something you want, because you can say what you want about Michigan and how their offense finished the season, but I honestly watched that Big Ten championship game and thought that a lot more of Michigan's whatever was because Iowa's defense is good, and this defense is really good. As I said, I'm on Iowa for this game, so I hope that doesn't change you guys' thinking on this. But I would not give Tennessee 8 points with them facing. I don't care how bad Iowa's bad. Like, maybe this game ends 6-0. I don't know, but I'm gonna bring it down to Tennessee -4.5.
Wow,
it's not low enough. Give me Iowa. Iowa's winning this game. I don't know why they're going to win this game. I don't know how. It's going to be something weird. It's going to be ugly. But they're going to win this game. And also the under.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the way you're thinking is because that total is 36, and that kind of indicates to me an Iowa kind of game. I'm with you. I'm going to go with Iowa. I don't like the rookie going against that defense. That, if you think back to 2019, Isaiah, you were nice enough to, I don't know if you passed along a video to me or what, the 2019 Iowa Bowl game was when they just ran quarterback draw against USC to end the game like 17 times in a row. No, they like to basically shove your face in it if they have an advantage, and they would have no reservations about just embarrassing this kid. Not that he's not good, but this is not the team, as you said, you want to debut against.
And truthfully, they have to. If Iowa wants to win this game, and you can say whatever you want about how bad the offense is under Brian Ferenc, but they want to win this game. This is not a team that goes into these and it's over, whatever. This is not a consolation prize for them.
And the other thing, too, is it's not just the absence of Joe Milton. The departure of Jalen Hyatt, it seems like Tennessee really didn't recover from that either. And I don't know if you need an offseason to address that. And that's a new quarterback dealing with that. I don't want to say he's having to throw left-handed, but it's not like you're plugging him into last year's Tennessee offense. I think there's a little bit of last year baked into this number, too, I guess, if I'm going to be honest. I like Iowa as well. Are you going to give us a total on this one, too? Is it single digit? Or
gentlemen, I've been playing Iowa unders the entire season, And it doesn't matter how low they go because I've hit on 27.5 under with this Iowa team this year. So I am going to give you the chance now to become a Big Ten sicko and play an Iowa under. So I'm going to give you 28.5.
Ooh.
Does an Iowa game that I think the lowest one it hit this year was 26.5, and it still went under. I want to say that's the lowest one I played.
That was a Rutgers game, I think. Although
we
got a little lucky there.
That one was close. That one almost.
Yes, it ended on the Rutgers 3-yard line.
I want to say they had 3 28.5s, and most of them didn't come close. So I'm going to give you the Big Ten line, 28 points.
It's nuts that you could get 36, and we're like, okay, we need to seriously debate 28.
I'm already on under 36. That was a no-brainer.
Yeah, I actually, that was one of the first bets I made for bowl season. Like, it was like 35.5. I'm like, there's no way. But I love how Milton is out and the total hasn't moved. They haven't realized that Iowa's defense is going to maul a brand new quarterback. So they haven't realized that yet. I'm going to have to bet this again tonight. But yeah. They won their bowl game last year 21-0, didn't they?
Yeah, against Kentucky.
It was against Kentucky, right? Because Kentucky's quarterback Will Levis, he opted out,
and it was 21-0 at half, and they just sat on them for an entire. That second half, they weren't even trying to score. They were just like, "I dare you."
And that was with, I think, Petrus and what's his face was out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was only under for that game too, and I thought it was. I want to say it couldn't have been much more than 30-32, and I thought it was dead because it was 21 at half, and I was like, wait a minute, they're just going to sit on them.
And they did?
And they did.
Yeah, this is probably a bad idea, but I'm going to take the under 28.5. Again, there's plenty of room for for over 28.5 and under 36 to hit. There's lots of room there, but I'm going to take the under 28.5.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not even thinking twice about it.
No, you shouldn't. See, that's the thing. If you're watching that I was mainly curious to hear your reaction to it, because if you give anybody in the Big Ten 28.5, they wouldn't feel bad about it. It would be like, oh, yep, it's under. But congrats, you're now Big Ten fan.
Do I get it?
Buck, you are a Big Ten fan now.
Is that? Am I basically beaten into the gang now?
Oh. Yeah. Now we wait until USC's first scheduled appearance against Iowa, having 3 tight ends in the box.
There we go. Then I get my tattoo, right? That's how it works. Okay.
What's next?
The Rose Bowl game, presented by Prudential. Alabama against Michigan. Michigan giving 1.5. Only so many times I can say Jalen Monroe's been overlooked, although Michigan's offense has an advantage, although they've come back a little bit in the last couple games, understandably, playing a couple of good defenses. Better defense, too, by my metrics. My metrics have them by 8 points. I actually got the score right here this time, directionally. I did take Alabama at plus 660 to win the national title. With about 2 or 3 weeks left in the regular season. I just liked the path there. Interesting, I'm sure we've all seen the video of when Michigan saw that they were playing Alabama. It was announced as they were expecting to get Florida State. And it wasn't really exactly a cheer. It was a gasp from the team. So, interesting dynamic there. LeanTossup model has Michigan by 6 as well. Both of us are far ahead of the market. Obviously, no huge opt-outs here that I'm aware of. I think that the market knows better than my number. I don't know if you feel the same, Robert. Big difference here. What are you thinking that would be the proper line here, Isaiah?
There's so many angles I looked at this game on. The first one is, as a Big Ten fan, I just don't want to see Alabama win this game. And that hates me because I really want to see Michigan have the season vacated. But I just don't want to hear the narrative because I can hear it right. The second Alabama got into the playoff over Florida State, everybody was like, oh, they're winning the title now. We know it because then it's going to be, oh, they deserved it because they won the title. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. As you said, it feels like Alabama, as far as the offense went, got much better as the season went on. And I don't think Michigan's got worse. I think they just played better teams. Mm-hmm. I think Michigan obviously looked a lot more impressive against a much better rivalry opponent, but they were at home, whereas Alabama needed that miracle But then they go and they beat Georgia. Nobody cares that Michigan beat Iowa in the Big Ten championship game. I think the thing that concerns me about this game, and not just my gut feeling of, oh man, this is where Alabama does what Alabama does, is Alabama beat Georgia in the trenches. Those lines were mauling Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Big Ten teams are supposed to do. If I looked at this game, I would have said Michigan wins because the lines dominate and the run game gets. I don't think Jim McCarthy is going to win this game with his arm. That's not trying to insult Jim McCarthy. It's just not really how Michigan is built to win these games. I'm on Alabama. I hope it doesn't happen. But I'm treating this as maybe I hate to say this, but I'm going to treat this as a wrong team favored. And I'm going to make Alabama a slight favorite here at -2.5.
Oh.
I was hoping you were not going to say that. Damn.
I think Isaiah and I think Buck are going to be happy with what I'm about to say. I'm taking Michigan. I know, I've got a little spiel here. It's interesting. A couple of things about this. One, and as I've said this kind of before, this is definitely a down year for the SEC. They are definitely not as strong as they have been in the past. We have, at many times this year, said, hey, guess what, Georgia isn't as good as you thought they are. Apparently, no one could beat them no one could take advantage of that until Alabama. Now, some teams got close. Notably, Missouri got close, I think. A couple teams did get close to beating Georgia, but it was Bama that was able to finally do it. Additionally, Michigan will have Jim Harbaugh back for this game, which is just funny. The thing is, it's really funny because when the 14 playoff was announced, everybody was so up in arms about, oh, Florida State got snubbed. We just completely forgot about the fact that the team that was literally incredibly accused of cheating was the number 1 ranked team. They're like, yeah, that's fine. But Florida State, we just completely glossed over that. We're just like, that's fine. But Florida State, though, the thing is, and people, one of, I think, the most kind of damning things that, yeah, they definitely cheated, is because Michigan's record in the last 2 bowl games, when they've been accused of doing this, has been dismal, right? Specifically against Georgia 2 years ago, back in 2021. And then last year, they got upset by TCU as 14-point favorites in 22 when TCU said, oh yeah, people told us they were stealing signals, so we made sure we changed up all our signs, and then that was the worst defensive performance by them in forever. So you're probably wondering, Glenn, why are you tempted to take them now? Because I think if you have built everything and your entire system is built to rely on stealing your opponent's signals, then you rely on that as a crutch. You're like, okay, we know it's going to be a running play, so hey, guys, it's a running play, get ready for a run. Or, oh, it's a passing play, get ready for this. They're going to make a deep guy open, so get ready for that, right? That's a crutch for you. And then when that doesn't work, you don't know what to do. But this Michigan team now, basically since mid-season, they've known that everybody knows to change up their signals, so they know they can't rely on that anymore. So they've had to basically build an entire, well, not really build an entire new system, but they've had to basically be like, fine, we're just not doing that anymore. And I think that getting rid of that reliance has made them overall a stronger team. Now, you can argue whether or not they're a better team than Ohio State or whatever, and I think there's still an argument about that, per se, but I can say that, like, definitively, I think they are a better team for that and a stronger team all around because of that change that they've had to make this year. I think, honestly, it'd be really funny if Michigan won and then they had to vacate this entire season due to a massive cheating scandal. So, yeah, give me Michigan.
Wow. Don't know if I'm going to go down the same path as Robert did in terms of my pick. You said a really good number there. I don't like either side on that one. I guess this is just going to come down to, for me, Alabama has looked. I'll put it this way: Michigan has looked more beatable in the last part of the season, and I don't know if we could say Alabama looks less beatable. But I think there's been a little bit less degradation in terms of how bad they've looked, and whatever backslide they took with that weird game against Auburn, they more than made up for with that win against Georgia, which is more impressive than anything that Michigan has done. Alabama's got the better quarterback, and I would dare say Alabama has had to face Jackson Dart, who has a similar apex to J.J. McCarthy, and the Heisman Trophy winner Jaden Daniels, whereas Michigan, I don't think, unless I'm missing somebody, has faced anybody that's as productive as Jalen Milroe. Good and bad. There's a lot of bad in there, but clearly when your apex is that high, your good is really good. Maybe this comes down to, is Michigan able to just keep Milroe from hitting the deep stuff, which is where he really kills you, and also keep him from beating you with his legs. That's a tall order because those are two very different things. Michigan's defense is really good, so I guess if anybody can do it, it would be them. Gosh, I'm just going to go with Bama. Just, you set a really good number there, and maybe I'm just going to concede you the VIG as a nod, setting a good number on that one.
I need to get this out so that I don't get message bombed on Twitter as a Big Ten guy. I am not rooting for Alabama in this game. I don't want it to happen.
Yeah,
but man, I feel like I've seen this so many times.
I would imagine if you're dealing with Harbaugh's antics all season and then you have to deal with SEC guy, I think that would make you college football atheist when it comes to this game.
Like my best outcome here is that Michigan wins and then this gets vacated. That
yeah. Robert actually nailed your scenario.
Yeah.
The thing is, I want either of these teams to win the playoff. If that makes sense, I would love both these teams to lose, but they both can't lose. But yeah, it's fine. Just both of them will. One of them will win the game, and then they'll lose to the winner of the other game. That's it. Simple.
Speaking of which, we go to the Sugar Bowl. Congratulations to their president for being on the College Football Playoff Committee. He said sarcastically, "You jerk." As I was going over this matchup, I thought Robert's a rational Oregon fan, so he doesn't have that deep-seated hatred for Washington that a lot of Ducks fans do. But I think this would not really be your dream matchup here. One of these teams is going to play for the national title if you're a Duck fan, because you don't really like Washington, and you and I are both not really fans of Sark.
Yeah.
This is for you. Just take your medicine with whoever wins this one. Even matchup of quarterbacks, although I don't think, even though their numbers are the same, I don't think that they're really the same guy at all. I think if there's one game to win, I would take Michael Penix 11 times out of 10 between the two quarterbacks. Definitely have to give the nod defensively to Texas. They have a very stout, especially defensive front, although I think Washington's defense has improved quite a bit over the last month of the season. They did a good job in slowing down a very good Oregon defense or offense in the championship game. Power ratings have this Texas by 2. Roberts model, because it loves Sark so much, has Texas by 13. Market has this at 4 in a very high scoring game with a total of 63.5. This is an interesting one to me. I think the other thing too that stands out to me is you have Sark with his first ever conference title as a head coach in fewer years than DeBoer has amassed, I think, 5 or 6 conference titles now. So interesting data points. What are you going to make this one, Isaiah?
First of all, I don't want Texas to win this game because I really don't want. What I really don't want is Alabama-Texas rematch in the championship game. I feel like Washington has been the team, especially to end the season, that everybody wants to count out, and now Vegas is like, boy, we gave Oregon we made you lay 8.5 points with Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game, and that sure didn't work out. Maybe we should be a little smarter here. It's just, it has Texas. Let me look at their resume. Have they done anything that is decisively more impressive than what Washington beat? Kansas? Kansas isn't bad, but I would take Oregon over Kansas. Beat Kansas State. I would take Oregon over Kansas. Oklahoma State, I would obviously take Oregon over. Oklahoma's not a bad loss, especially in that game. You don't have any bad losses, but that Alabama win it feels like that Alabama win the second week of the season is really carrying Texas. And if we're being honest, if they were to play again in Tuscaloosa right now, is anybody taking Texas?
No.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm bold enough to make Washington a favorite in this game, but I really like Washington. Can I set it as a pick?
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
that.
I'm going to go ahead and set it as a pick. Then.
So I want to read off some numbers here. So these are four of the last five, with the exception of Texas Tech versus Texas. These are the passing yardage totals of opposing quarterbacks against Texas's defense. Alan Bowman, 250 for 3 touchdowns. Rocco Becht from Iowa State, 323 yards, 2 touchdowns. Josh Hoover of TCU, 302 passing yards for 2 touchdowns. And Will Howard, 327 yards for 4 touchdowns. They are going against Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah, are you saying that those guys are not as good as Michael Penix? Come on.
Yes, and that they also do not have Romeo Dunze or I can't remember the other guy's name at this moment.
Jalen Polk.
Jalen Polk. That's terrifying. People are like, Texas is so good, their defense is really good. They've given up 300 yards to four of their last, almost 300 yards, except 250, and then they just destroyed Texas Tech. They've given up that many yardage against basically everybody else. That's terrifying. I have huge concerns about Texas's ability. If Washington needs a first down, they're going to be able to get it through the air, and that's a problem. The thing is, now that being said, though, Michael Penix Jr., he's only thrown for 300 yards. Now, he did 2 of the last 4 games. He didn't against Oregon State, but that was in the rain, to be fair. And he struggled against Washington State, but that was that kind of insane rivalry game. He had 332 against Utah and only 256 against USC, which is a little concerning. But
USC literally Dylan Johnson, I think is his name. I think he had almost 200 yards before contact in that game. I'm not making.
Yeah, they just ran the ball.
They didn't need to pass it. Yeah.
Exactly. So, it's weird. Michael Penix Jr. in Washington got a little worse towards the end of the year, but then they completely turned it back around against Oregon and made it seem like, yeah, we were that good team all along. I have concerns about Texas, specifically their passing defense. Also, they are down Jonathan Brooks too. He is out with an injury. He's their best running back. Washington is a little weak against the run, so now they're going to be relying on like their second string running back. And look, I think that Oregon's offense is better than Texas's offense, and they were able to handle Oregon's offense pretty decently in the Pac-12 championship game. Now, okay, of course, there's some familiarity and stuff, but I think Bo Nix is better than Quinn Ewers. Give me Washington here. Give me Washington pick. I'll take them.
Yeah, I agree with everything you say, and I think I'm just going to give you 2 other points here of why I also like Washington. I believe it was I think it was towards the end of the Oregon game when Penix got hurt, and he really gutted through the very end of that game. And I know he was definitely still hurting in the Arizona State game that they crazily won 15-7 very late in the game. I think that injury still was keeping him from being himself since he had that. Before he had that injury, I think he was like number 2, maybe even number 1 on the top Apex list for most of the season until that injury. Then he just kept going down every week. I think that having 6 weeks off is going to be a huge help to him more than maybe any other player in the postseason of importance. So I think that you're going to see the much better version of Michael Penix of 2023. The other thing is that I referenced, this is a head coaching mismatch. You've got one guy who he knows how to win football games, and for some reason, as Isaiah pointed out, the market is still skeptical of the guy. I am not. I didn't think he'd be this good this quickly at Washington because Washington was horrible, but this guy knows how to win. He had a ridiculously good record, not quite a Lance Leipold record, when he was in FCS or Division II or wherever he was, but he won a lot of conference titles. Look at his Wikipedia page. It's quite impressive. Goes to Fresno State in 1 year there, takes him to the title game, takes over this horrible program. Don't forget, Washington they lost to, I think, Eastern Washington in the season before DeBoer took over. They were just horrible. So I'm going to eat the 2.5 that Isaiah is making me eat, or the 4. I'm going to go with Washington as well. So I think that this means that this is a decent money line play then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I would agree. No, I would agree on that too. I like the money line play.
All right. That is the last bowl. Just to click through the rest of the format here. Just to be clear, there are no dual model plays this season. That means For the bowl season, there was one dual model play. We went 1-0. You all are very welcome. That is an ROI of 90.9%. Congratulations if you had it, and if you didn't, boy, you missed out. You should get bonus points because it was on a MAC team, which is really a high-wear act, taking a MAC team in a bowl game. With that, before we wrap this up, we need to pick a champion.
Yes.
It looks like you have, Robert, you're going to have Michigan against Alabama in the title game?
No, Michigan versus Washington.
Oh, pardon me. Yeah, Jesus. Yep.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'll say Washington just because you can get, and I've actually already spent some little bonus bets. Washington getting Washington 7-1 right now. That's pretty tasty, right? I think they could definitely be. If they get past them, they have a better quarterback than Michigan. Do they have a worse defense? Yes, but I think they can. It would be the bet. It'd be straight up the best quarterback Michigan's faced all year, and I think that might be a little scary for Michigan to deal with. I'm going Washington. I know it's crazy, but I'm going to say Washington.
Okay. Isaiah, then who do you have coming out of the Final Four here?
So I would have, based on my picks, I would have Washington against Alabama in the title game, and I would also go with Washington on that. Man, I would love to see Mike Penix hoist that trophy. That would be just a great story. So give me Washington as well.
Sentimentally, I am with you two, but I am financially invested in Alabama, and as much as I've made a very strong case for Mr. DeBoer, it's Nick Saban. This is not Sark that he would be facing in the final. Now, if he goes against Harbaugh, different matter. That might be the game I really want to see, so I wouldn't really have divided loyalties. But having said that, this would be an interesting way for Nick Saban to get his last championship with probably his most doubted team in quite some time. So I will go with Alabama. And with that, unless you all have any other final thoughts on this, yes, no? I think that's going to be it for 2023. With that in mind, we thank everybody for listening/watching. We are very grateful for the regulars that we have. I don't know about you, Robert. I know that you're not really a man of the people like I am, but I really enjoy when people tweet at me and say, hey, love the pod, or followed up with questions. I'm always down for that. I've really appreciated this. I think we've stumbled into a format that works. We'll make little tweaks here and there, but this has been a really fun year as we're going through our reps and improving quite a bit. So with that, my thanks to everybody, and have a great new year.
Yeah, 100% agree with everything that you've said, and yeah, we will. There's already a lot. Now, we haven't covered a lot of the most breaking news regarding Florida State and the ACC. We will be back in 2024 to do the previews and all that stuff. And, yeah, we're going to have a lot to talk about next year. We're not going anywhere. This has been an amazing year for us. We've moved the podcast to video format, and we've definitely grown our base. We have a lot more people watching this now than we did before. And watching and listening. That's great. And, yeah, hopefully 2024 we can make this even bigger. So thank you to all of our viewers who watched and listened. And yeah, have a great new year. Have a happy new year, and we will see you back here in 2024. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, all.